Good evening and welcome to the briefing meeting for the Kernersville Board of Aldermen. Today is July 29th, 2020. We'll begin this evening with an invocation, and after that we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance. The invocation will be given this evening by our Planning Director, Mr. Jeff Hatling.
Thank you, Mayor Morgan. Thank you for gathering us, Lord, on this summer night to do the business of Kernersville. Thank you for blessing us with a beautiful community. Let us do the works that you have asked, and watch over this world that's in trouble right now, and guide us, Lord, as we make our way through this pandemic. And once again, thank you for blessing this opportunity for this fellowship to be together here at this meeting and to enjoy all you provide. And these things we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Thank you. And now we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which
and one nation under
under God,
indivisible,
with
liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. All right, so this is the briefing meeting. So we'll be going according to the briefing agenda, and then we will switch to the regular meeting agenda. It's an opportunity for the members of the Board of Aldermen to ask questions about the upcoming items. Typically, our meetings are held the first Tuesday of the month in recognition of National Night Out. Our August meeting is held the first Wednesday of the month of August, and that was adopted on the calendar that we adopted back in the December timeframe for the entire year 2020. All right, so before we get started on that, though, I will do a roll call since this is a remote meeting. And it's an opportunity also for everyone to check their microphone and make sure we can communicate. Mayor Pro Tem Jenny Fulton.
present.
Thank you. Alderman Chris Thompson.
Present, thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Bruce Boyer.
present. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Kenny Cruz. And Kenny, if you could turn on your microphone.
Present. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Joe Penix.
Present. Thank you.
Thank you. And some of the aldermen are wearing earbuds, headphones, whatever, in order to reduce the noise on this remote meeting, since several of them are in the same room together. There tends to be a feedback loop if they aren't wearing the headphones. All right, we also have our town manager, Curtis Swisher.
Present, thank you.
Thank you. Town attorney, John Wolf.
Present. Thank you.
Thank you. Town clerk, Keith Hooker.
Present.
Thank you. Our IT director, Adam Hutchins.
Present, thank you.
Thank you. Our fire rescue chief, Scott Alderman.
Present, thank you.
Thank you. Our police chief, Tim Summers.
He is present in the courtroom.
Okay, thank you. Parks and Rec director, Ernie Pages.
He's present.
Ernie, are you there?
Yes.
He's in the courtroom.
Okay. Oh, thank you, Kenny. And then our public services director, Doran Maltba.
Present, thank you.
Thank you. Curtis, are there any other staff on the call with us?
Crystal Tanner, HR director, is in the courtroom.
Thank you, Crystal. Thank you, Crystal and Curtis, for all that you're doing in these times to steer our staff through the pandemic and the challenges it poses, and appreciate your dedication and Crystal's early on to helping set policies in place that protected the employees who provide our essential public services. So we appreciate all that you both do in that regard. All right, so we'll begin. You're welcome. So we'll begin this evening with the revised agenda. After any agenda, there's always just a few things to correct and change, but I think we're pretty up to date now. So we'll begin with a public hearing a Kernersville Development Plan Amendment. And that will be item 1A. So our Community Development Director and Planning Director, Mr. Jeff Hatling, if you'd like to say a few words about item 1A.
1A is associated with the rezoning that we did a couple of months ago. The planning board staff did the public hearing, and the planning board staff is recommending approval. This was associated with the rezoning that the Board of Aldermen has already approved. Typically, we hear it the same night of the rezoning. In this case, it just didn't get on the agenda in time. So the public hearing for this case is scheduled for Tuesday, and the planning board staff recommend approval as presented in the staff report with a link in the Board of Aldermen agenda item.
And just as a clarification, we'll actually hear that on Wednesday, August 5th.
Yeah, I'm sorry, yes. So used to Tuesdays.
Yes. All right. Any questions by any of the board? All right. Seeing none, we'll go on to item 1B. Again, a public hearing, another Kernersville Development Plan Amendment. This is for the eastern terminus of Brookdale Forest Drive at Brookford Road. The zoning docket's KDP 54. Mr. Hatling.
Yes, case B and C are associated with each other. B is the proposed rezoning for this site. The recommended approval from the planning board staff is recommended approval from low density residential to mixed residential. And it's associated with C, the special use district, case 782, for a mixed residential development that includes a RM8 special use district for townhomes, and also a RS12 SPRD for single family residential. On the Board of Aldermen agenda packet, you'll see two memos, one with two recommended new conditions to address some concerns from some adjacent property owners, and also a memo to the Board of Aldermen with updates on answering some of the questions and concerns we got during the public hearing. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Do any of the aldermen have questions about items 1B or 1C? All right, seeing none, we'll go on to item 2B, which is consideration of renewal of a lease with AT&T. Town Manager Kurt Swisher.
Madam Mayor, we currently have a lease agreement with AT&T, and this is for the site on the town's tower down behind Public Services. They have contacted, that lease expires in 2021. They have contacted the town to amend that agreement basically, and then to set in place a new agreement. You have that agreement in your packet. It's for a 5-year term, initially with five-year extensions. The lease rate was $8,612.34 per month for the first 5 years, and then it will go up to $8,870 a month after that, and then 3% each 5-year increment. We're recommending that the town do that lease agreement.
Okay, and are there any questions by any of the board? Okay, and Kenny and, yes, Bruce, you just muted. Kenny, if you could mute your microphone. I think you're picking up Curtis in your mic. Thank you. I think that is a little clearer.
That is.
Okay. All right, the next item is item C, consideration of a request by the Chamber of Commerce to use town property for Recycle Day.
As just, they have a recycle day twice a year, I believe. So they're asking for the use of the town property. They usually set up in the parking lot there beside of the farmer's market so that they can come in either off Allen Street or through the parking lot and do that. So they're planning on having that. They put in place some safeguards with COVID-19. They think they can safely have that event, and we agree with that and see no need to not grant them use of the parking lot.
And this is an event they had planned to have earlier in the year and postponed in light of COVID until they could develop a better plan to adapt to the current health situation. So it does seem to be a very low density and perhaps even contactless
Correct.
recycling and something for the community. So
That's
does
correct.
anyone have any questions about it? Okay, then we will move on to item D, which is the consideration of a resolution for an application for funding with the Governor's Highway Safety Program.
Jeff, can you pull that up? This is an ongoing grant that we have with the Governor's Highway Safety Program. It's funding this year in the amount of $20,429. So we're recommending the board approve this resolution so that we can accept that funding.
Does anyone have any questions? Okay, then we will move on to item E. We'll move on then to item E, consideration of an interlocal agreement and plan for the grant of coronavirus relief funds. Mr. Swisher?
I'll let Jeff pull those up and I'll explain briefly what they are. The recipient of the CARES funding, the coronavirus relief funds, the county is the recipient of that funding, and they are required to share part of that with the municipalities, and part of that they are not required to. Forsyth County has chosen to share some of it that they're not required to share, and then they will also, of course, share the part that they have to. So we have an interlocal agreement with the county. Basically, it states that we will expend the funds in the appropriate way. We will account for those funds and then report back to the county how we spent those funds. We also have to have a plan in place, and I think, Jeff, if you'll scroll to the bottom, you can see that plan. We are receiving approximately $277,000 from basically from the county for the coronavirus relief funds. We are recommending that we expend all of that for salaries and wages for public safety personnel, basically our police and fire. That's an allowed expenditure. You cannot use the funds for revenue replacement. You have to use them as an expenditure. So that's our recommendation, is that the board adopt the interlocal agreement. We receive the $277,000, and then we'll spend it out on salaries and wages. And, you know, it won't be a whole lot of accounting to it. We'll have that much in the first month. We'll fill the plan out, send it back to the county. They will then send that plan to the state, and Jeff can pull the plan up. It's a pretty simple plan. It's got the allocations. It's got the, scroll down a little bit further, Jeff. There's the categories you can spend it on. Medical expenses, public health expenses, payroll expenses, then expenses of actions to facilitate compliance with COVID-19 related public health measures. So we're choosing the payroll expenses for that. And I think that's, for the most part, what a lot of the municipalities around us are doing. I know some of them that contract with the sheriff's department are going to spend it on salaries of that contracted employee. And so they'll receive the money from the county and then just pay it back to the county, basically. So we could certainly spend ours on one of those other categories, but in the long run, it's all going to be the same. I mean, we're getting money that we've not budgeted for and spending it on expenses that we kind of have, and so it's all going to wash out the same way.
Hey, Curtis, I have a quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thanks. You know how we did the COVID pay? Are you gonna go back and backdate this or no?
No, I'll just use it for, my recommendation is to just use it for payroll expenses for fiscal year 2021.
Okay, I just wanted to know since it ran out and we're still in COVID, I didn't know if we were gonna do any of that with this money. So that's fine. Thank you.
Yeah, we're not looking at it right now, and we have stopped that hazard pay. We stopped it at the end of May.
Right.
Of course, now we've got, you know, the catch to it is we've already got the salaries and wages, payroll expenses already budgeted in each of those departments. So basically you'll have 135,000 left in one department, 135,000 left in another. That at some point in time we might could use. That's the part we still have to figure out.
Okay.
You can't
No,
just be revenue replacement.
Okay, no, I'm grateful for this funding, and I think county
Yeah.
commissioners were very generous to share, so thank
They
you.
were, I was appreciative of them sharing we got, I think, 97,000 or 87,000 from what they considered the first round. And then it's about 170 or 180,000 from the second round. So the first round is the part they did not have to share with the municipalities, and they chose to do that, which is good.
Yeah, thank you, Curtis.
Yes, ma'am. Any more questions on that? All right.
Okay, the next item is consideration of an ordinance for budget amendment number 1 for fiscal year 2021.
You have budget amendment number 1 in your packet, and as in the past, usually the first budget amendment is items that were budgeted. They have a PO in place for this year to be fiscal year 1920. Those items have not came in and we have not paid for them yet, so we've carried that money over. This budget amendment is quite a bit less than we've seen in previous years. You've got 6 expenditures. The largest of those, 3 largest, being the police department, $97,295. For some expenditures, we have some revenue to go with that. One of those is for a vehicle that was totaled out in a wreck. We also have $27,000 from the insurance company for that. And then some other software maintenance and license fees in PD. Engineering departments, you got $36,310, primarily for Caleb's Creek traffic study and Brookford Road sewer project. We have $31,000 in revenue to offset most of that. And then the one that in there that has no revenue is the information technology department, $10,763 to cover a fiber optic cable installation project. That project is the upgrade railroad crossing at Nelson and Bodenhammer Street. They are some point in time getting ready to start that project. They contacted us. We had to relocate our fiber optic cable. So that was one of the expenses of that project that was not covered by our match. So we went ahead and we did that. It was $10,000 to do that. So everything else is pretty standard. Some of the expenses that you've seen through the year that we're just now carrying over. So the total fund balance appropriation is $358,000 to cover those expenses. Be glad to answer any questions that you may have either tonight or Monday, either one, or Wednesday, I'm sorry.
Mayor, I have another question for Curtis. Curtis, where did we end up shortfall?
We don't have the numbers finalized yet. It'll be probably October.
Okay, somebody asked me this week and I said I thought we were gonna be around maybe $500,000 or less.
Yeah, it's probably, I would hope it would be less.
Okay.
There may be maybe more fund balance appropriation than that, but the actual shortfall of what we projected and what we get in hopefully will be less than that, but it's just hard to tell. Our sales and use tax, we've gotten the numbers in for March and April.
Mhm.
To my knowledge, I haven't seen May numbers yet. They usually run 2 to 3 months behind. But sales and use tax in March, we were down somewhere around 10%. And April was about the same. And we projected last year when we froze the funds, we froze a lot of spending in March. We were projecting somewhere around 20 to 25%. So,
Okay.
So far we're ahead of what we projected, but we'll still have, we'll have a revenue shortfall, of course, but we hope that we could freeze enough money to offset that.
Okay, perfect. Just let me know when you find out.
I will.
Please. Thank you.
Yeah, it'll be probably at the end of September, October before that's finalized.
Okay, perfect. Thanks so much.
Yes, ma'am.
Are there any further questions? All right, we'll move on then to item G, consideration of a resolution for notice of intent to reimburse for the purchase of equipment. Mr. Swisher?
I'll cover G and H at the same time, if you don't mind, because we're both intents to reimburse, or intents to reimburse, I'm sorry.
Okay, so then H would be the construction improvements. Go
Yes,
ahead.
ma'am. Both of these are intent to reimburse for equipment and construction improvements that were approved by the board for the fiscal year 2021 budget. The construction improvements being the dam improvements at Kernersville Lake and the roofs that will be on the 2 facilities the town owns. And then the equipment will just be the very little equipment that was in the budget. Reimburse, if the equipment comes in, we have to pay for it before we get a loan. This reimbursement allows us to put that money back into the general fund.
Do the board members have any questions?
Have the repairs been made? It's at the lake, the dam?
No, sir. No, sir, not yet.
We
We've
know when
done
those
some
will be made.
repairs.
Okay,
Probably another couple months, but we've done some repairs, but not the ones that were approved in the budget.
okay, thank you.
All right, Mr. Swisher, would you like to cover item I, consideration of a resolution regarding a local government commission application for a financing contract for the purchase of construction
Yes, ma'am.
improvements?
That goes along with G and H. This is for the items that we will finance, and we have to send that application into the LGC for approval for the financing of those items.
Okay, does the board have any questions? All right, the next item is the consent agenda. Many of the items are approval of minutes. There's clickable links online if you'd like to read them in advance. The closed session minutes are not available online. They're a category that's protected by law's confidential communications with our attorney. Item B is approval of placeholder and minute book for a May 27 briefing meeting. The meeting was attempted to be held, but that night we had some trouble with the communication system that we were using, and we were not able to hold the meeting that evening. Curtis, do you have anything to add on any of the consent agenda items?
No, ma'am.
All right, then we'll go to 4. If there's a question about any of those items, they'll be removed. And so we would deal with that under item 4, items removed from consent agenda. Item 5 is speakers from the floor. You can call in or you can send in comments in advance for our meetings. The policy is online. It's printed on the agenda. You may send written comments about anything at our meeting, or public hearing comments or comments on anything else, to Keith Hooker, our town clerk, at khooker@toknc.com. You can call in the night of a meeting at 336-996-7289, beginning 30 minutes prior to the meeting. That's 336-996-7289 if you'd like to speak at any of the opportunities for public speaking. All right, we'll go on to item 6, the town manager's report. Mr. Swisher, do you have any items that are not on this agenda that you plan to present on August 5th?
I do, Madam Mayor, and I would like to ask the board to just add it to the agenda so that we can update the agenda. We received this morning, actually, the North Carolina Governor's Highway Safety Program traffic grant. It's another grant that we get through the North Carolina Governor's Highway Program. It is for the DWI Joint Task Force here in Kernersville. We're on a joint task force with other agencies in Forsyth County. It's the 11th year for that grant. We need to go ahead and get it on the agenda so the board can either approve it or deny it. We have to have it back into them, I think, by the middle of September. So if the board will make a motion to add that to the agenda, we'll add it and then update it.
I'll make that motion.
I would propose we add it as item 2J.
That's fine.
Okay, I've got a motion by Bruce Boyer. I've got a second by Chris Thompson. We will need to do a roll call vote. Mayor Pro Tem Jenny Fulton, do you vote in favor or against?
In favor, thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Chris Thompson, in favor or against?
In favor.
Thank you. Alderman Bruce Boyer?
In favor, thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Kenny Cruz?
In favor, thank you.
Thank you, Kenny. Alderman Joe Penix.
In favor, thank you.
Thank you. It's unanimous.
Thank you, and that's all I have.
Thank you, Curtis. And Keith, if you could update the agenda for the board and have that sent out.
That will be done.
Okay, thank you. Curtis, do you have anything else that you're planning to present at the meeting?
Not that I know of right now, no.
Okay. And then item 7 would be matters to be presented by the town attorney. Mr. Wolf, are there any matters that you know of tonight that you're planning to present on Wednesday, August 5th?
I do not as of this time.
Okay, thank you. At this time, we'll go back to the regular agenda for the briefing session. And we're now on item 2, matters to be presented by the mayor and board of aldermen. I'll just go ahead and do a roll call to see if anyone has something to present tonight. Mayor Pro Tem Jenny Fulton.
No, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Alderman Chris Thompson.
I have a question, and it's probably for Jeff Hatling. Has the Be Safe Storage received their certificate of occupancy for their building? And it's a beautiful building. I'm just curious if they've gotten their certificate of occupancy.
Building located on South Main Street.
That's correct.
I would have to check. I believe they got it some time ago.
And so the only reason I'm asking is they've had a temporary sign out there, a 4x8 vertical sign out there for at least a year. And I'm wondering, what do we need to do to move that sign?
That's no problem. Yeah, they
That
just
building's beautiful.
yeah. No, that we'll take care of that.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that, Jeff. Thanks.
Alderman Bruce Boyer.
Do we need to set up a date for the continuance of the August meeting so that people can plan on it, since it will be on an unusual day?
So what we're doing with remote meetings, for the aldermen are aware, but if you tuned in to watch this meeting, you're not aware. Given that we're having remote meetings on Wednesday, August 5th, we will not vote on the public hearings. We'll hear the public hearings, take the public comments, and then there's a 24-hour period following the close of the public hearing where we accept public comments. Typically, we've had our meetings on Tuesday, and the board has decided to continue the meeting to Thursday. The meeting will be held on Wednesday, so we would be continuing it to Friday. Frequently, we've continued the meetings to evening hours, but in light of that may not be convenient for our staff and citizens in the community, perhaps we should consider a daytime time to continue the meeting too. We won't actually do this till Wednesday, but I think perhaps we could consider accepting public comments until 9 a.m. on Friday morning and having the continuation of the meeting at 2 p.m. on Friday, if that would suit everybody's schedule.
I'm certainly okay with 2 p.m. on that Friday.
Well, Bruce, I thought you were working on this. Did everybody else like Friday at 2?
I really only checked it out with Chris because I think his schedule is more work intensive during the day. So I had asked him to check his calendar. I have not asked other aldermen what works for them.
Okay, well, I'm good, Mayor, at 2, if that works for everyone else.
I'm good with it.
I'm good with it also.
Bruce, are you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I was just listening for Chris. He
Chris,
was the
are
one
you
I was.
okay with that?
He gave the thumbs up, so I think he is.
Oh, okay, I couldn't see. And Joe, are you okay with that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. And I had asked the Bruce, I didn't realize you were soliciting, or you were asking specific times. I had to ask the town manager about times he thought would work. So, okay. I see a
Two,
message from
fine.
Chris. Thank you, Chris. Chris, I just got your message. Thank you. All right, so we'll plan to continue the meeting to 2 p.m. on Friday afternoon, and we'll accept public comments received to Keith Hooker, which again is khooker@toknc.com by 9 a.m. Although we would love to get the comments till, a minute before the meeting, this gives Keith a chance to print the comments and deliver them or email them to the aldermen so that everyone hears all or has an opportunity to read all of the public comments that are provided after the meeting. Certainly, comments are welcome before the public hearing. Comments are welcome during the public hearing, and then there is a 24 hours after. But 9 a.m. Friday is longer than 24 hours after, but that'll be our cutoff if that suits everyone. Good.
Mhm.
All right.
One more thing, Mayor.
Yes.
Yesterday afternoon, our doorbell rang and my wife went to the door. There were two young girls from the neighborhood and they brought this sign that says, "I hope I make you smile." With all what we're seeing on TV with protests and updates on the coronavirus, it's really neat to see the young people trying to be lighthearted and caring, and I just appreciated that.
Thank you for mentioning that. All right. Anything else, Bruce?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Alderman Kenny Cruz, do you have anything tonight?
No, ma'am, not now. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Joe Penix, do you have anything tonight?
No, ma'am.
Thank you. All right. Curtis, do you have anything to present tonight under agenda item 3, matters to be presented by the town manager and town attorney?
No, ma'am, I do not.
Mr.
Madam
Wolf, do you have
Mayor, I would-
anything? I know you have a closed. Do you have anything to present in open session?
No, ma'am, but I would appreciate it if an alderman might make a motion to the effect for a closed
I
session
have it to
in
read.
order that I might advise the board on certain legal matters.
Okay, and given this is a remote meeting, what will be the procedure? So if we have a closed session, only the board and town manager and town attorney would be involved in that part of this remote meeting, but then we'll come back after a certain period of time
Yes,
to
ma'am.
conclude the meeting?
Yes, ma'am. It's same as you would do if it were a live meeting. It would just be the board, myself, town attorney Wolf. We'll be on the go-to meeting. We'll make sure everyone else is off. Then when we're done with the closed session, we'll come back in and we'll go back live for the meeting. And then someone can make the motion to adjourn.
Okay, and the motion details the grounds that we can be in closed session on, correct?
Yes, ma'am. I think Alderman Boyer has that.
And
Okay.
I might add for the public's knowledge that really don't anticipate coming back and having something as we re-enter the open section of the board after the closed section. We will come back because we must do that by law, but don't really see anything coming up during that open session.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Wolf. All right, Mr. Boyer?
Okay, I have the motion. I'd like to read it. It's my understanding, Madam Mayor, that there are certain matters about which our town attorney needs to advise us and which fall within the attorney-client privilege for discussion in closed session. I therefore move, Madam Mayor, that the board go into closed session to confer with our legal counsel under the attorney-client privilege.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
All right, I have a second by Joe Penix, a motion by Bruce Boyer, and we'll do a roll call vote since this is a remote meeting. Mayor Pro Tem Jenny Fulton.
Yes, in favor.
Thank you. Alderman Chris Thompson.
I'm in favor. I'm sorry, I've been in and out. I hope you can hear me now. Thanks.
I can hear you. Alderman Bruce Boyer.
I'm in favor, thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Kenny Cruz.
I'm in favor, thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Joe Penix.
In favor, thank you.
Thank you. All right, we are now in closed session.
Recorded.
Welcome back to the briefing meeting of the Kernersville Board of Aldermen. We have just concluded a closed session. Is there any further business before the Board of Aldermen this evening? Seeing none, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to
moved.
adjourn.
Okay, I have a motion by Alderman Chris Thompson. Do I have a second? Second by Mayor Pro Tem Jenny Fulton. Because this is a remote meeting, we'll take the vote by roll call. Mayor Pro Tem Jenny Fulton, are you in favor or opposed to adjourning?
In favor, thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Chris Thompson?
In favor, thanks.
Thank you. Alderman Bruce Boyer?
In favor, thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Kenny Cruz?
In favor, thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Joe Penix?
In favor, thank you.
Thank you. This meeting is adjourned.